Gather round, gather round. I'm so pleased with this mic. What's up, Todd? Just giving it a moment here, getting my aces in their places. Hey. Jessica, Brooke. Oh, I want to say that right. Brennan, damn it. C-Fouls, what's up, fam? Lucky lady. We love you, Lucky. We're here for you. Birthday chat supervisor. Dan, Slim, DC. Oh yeah, DC, I gotta do something. And yeah. What's up, Brandy? Thank you for all the honest feedback. Alright, I think we're getting to that time. Here we go now. Let me thank DJ Pooh, aka DJ Bricks. Look at this. This is crazy to me. Alright, we're gonna do a little fade out. How's is this audio good? I'm gonna fade it out like my DJ days. Wait. I'm not a DJ anymore. Okay, right on that beat. Okay, hey there. Welcome to the Progressive Patriot Hour. Who knows, maybe more. As you can see, I freestyled. Okay, yeah, I may have a nice fancy-esque mic, but I had to ghetto rig something because, well, I hope this sounds good. Let me see who's June. Hello. Yeah, this is great. So I don't have to turn the mic towards the speakers when I have video because the audio cable goes straight into the mic, and so this is kind of a mic/speaker in itself. The lights, I guess they're just pretty to look at. So how about that? If my eyebrows aren't enough, are you real? Are you real? Because I'm currently rebuilding my house, which means I'm real. So you can't tell me I'm not real. Your mom. So aside from that, okay, this is meant to be serious, and it is. I have gone over, I'll be very transparent here, I've gone over some of the prep work, and this is, I don't know how else to put it. Perhaps trigger warning, do I need to say that? Because some of the specific cases, as I went over as much data, found so many organizations that exist currently. Like, if ever you needed evidence that there is obviously something wrong with any organization, especially that is funded by our own tax dollars, somebody correct me on that if I am wrong, but I think CPS is an extension of the government. It's not something run by just citizens and citizen oversight. If anything, from what I've learned by looking at not only specific cases that I'll be shining a light on and revisiting a website that I played on just this, that for all intents and purposes, I fully credit for putting me on this path, which was a senator that, via exposing Child Protective Services, she lost her seat in the highest position of power one of the highest positions of power you can obtain. So what does that tell you about Child Protective Services as an industry, as an agency? They're too big to fail. This congresswoman took them on and lost her job as a result. So you know what? Why not start at the beginning? Let me show you guys what I see. Let me close out the, I had to find the thumbnail. Let's get to it, huh? I gotta admit, okay, I feel like a kid at a candy store with this mic, and I don't have to, lean in and, wow, okay. This is the most genuine smile you can expect to see. So let me get this breakdown. Eli Cam. Okay, I feel like I haven't done a solo. I've been doing just panels a lot. So you're going to recognize this woman, okay? And maybe you do. What I didn't play, and some of you specifically requested to get this page, if that's still the case, just ask, you shall receive. This is a subject that is not only did I find evidence of CPS failing our children on a scale nationally, but I found specific cases that are impossible to ignore. Some cases that were so bad, they helped shape the way the industry, we'll call it, runs as an operation in the UK at the very least. Shout out to Base Girl if she is here. I know we have different time zones. So I'm going to go ahead and play the second video. I only played the first. This is the woman that, as far as I'm concerned, was a Nancy Schaefer whistleblower. Okay, she could have had it all in terms of the comfy seat, in a house of power, and just gotten her, I guess, civil paychecks. Is that the proper term? Our tax dollars funding her paychecks. Meanwhile, let's not forget our boy Fauci, most expensive public servant ever in the history of the government. Not related to this subject, but what these people get paid, they don't rely on just our or their salaries alone. They rely on every single kickback, every lobbyist. We have legal pay-to-play corruption, all in the interest of not the greater good, not our children's protection, not for the most vulnerable people that need help, or, as I continue to see in one organization, lower-class people, people that struggle financially. They are the number one targets for CPS, which is very disturbing. So let somebody far more poised and informed on the subject begin tonight's deep dive into the corruption of CPS. Take it away, Nancy.
To even visit.
Let me see. How's it sound?
These are crimes against humanity for financial gain. Rights are removed from parents. Human rights, civil rights, and even religious rights. One illustration of what took place in my district.
Shout out to Phil. That's an old friend of mine. I miss you and Brandy.
Is that after so many calls, I decided to call a meeting in one of the counties of my own district. I personally called 37 families that had been in touch with me who had all lost their children, grandchildren. I had them meet me in the library one Saturday morning. We started at 9 o'clock and we ended at 9 o'clock.
Oh, closed caption for nada.
We had 50 families standing outside the door that could not get in. We didn't have time to talk with them. There was incredible anguish and profound suffering from these families. Some children had been taken off the school bus, taken out of the hospitals, or taken out of their homes in the middle of the...
So from what I'm gathering, essentially, CPS sounds more like a predatory foundation that relies on the most vulnerable citizens of the world at the most vulnerable times. She just described what sounds to me like a hit squad, like Wet Works team. They take your children from the school buses, where we think and assume they're safe. When we say, hey son, hey daughter, have a great day, and they never come back because apparently CPS can go snatch them out of school or the buses. Okay, I'm going to remember that tactic. What else did she say? I think she said, well, not only that, in the middle of the night. They're not really just targeting their homes.
These families. Some children had been taken off the school bus, taken out of the hospital.
Out of the hospital when you are hoping that your child is getting sufficient care. Apparently now an additional anxiety is somebody's going to take your kid. Like, this is horrifying. Now, I know I have to wear many different hats, so to speak. Look through different eyes and try to be fair and balanced. No other news network says that, right? I trademarked that. That's real time. So I'm trying to imagine a scenario where maybe there's some parents that are, I don't know, have somebody, and I'm bearing one case in mind. Somebody has a beef with you, right? Let's say there was a nasty split up. They want to weaponize your child against you. And how do they do that? Well, it takes a pretty disgusting individual to instill the fear that your child, maybe even your mutual child, could be taken away and you would get the blame. I don't like that leverage, that CPS can be used as a weapon by somebody who is vindictive enough to just desecrate your character just for the sake of taking your kid away. because that's most likely the most important thing in your life. Disgusting, deplorable. So great. If my non-existent child goes to the hospital, goes to school, God forbid, and doesn't come back, I have to worry about maybe CPS took him. Fantastic.
Or taken out of their homes in the middle of the night, and even worse.
They're like Freddy
It
Krueger.
was just an incredible ordeal. These parents, trapped in the system, become like refugees. They're dazed and glazed and have no one of whom to turn. They do not know what to do, and the loss of their children is devastating. After having worked in this arena for several years, I do not believe that a single child comes out whole after having been in this system.
This woman has worked in depth, very closely, intimately with families, children, everybody involved, including the social workers. And I do have one clip of three to five social workers, CPS workers that were fired as a scapegoat. And I'm going to let you guys decide what the news itself says. Like, I don't want to give it away. The picture they paint is pretty disgusting and grotesque. So, okay. I did see something in the chat. Last time I'll address this. Jessica, we love you so much. Ignore the toxicity. I promise you. That's what's going to work for me. That's what has been working for me. Those first 2 days that I did, when I was working a lot, I was not all there, and I let them win. I let them win. So just stay on the path. Just like, take it as a metaphor. Me focusing on this mission and this live and doing it right is just a metaphor for life. I'm going to focus on being my happiest self, my most successful self. And I'm going to do just that. And all the bullshit on the side, it's just white noise. Okay? Let that serve as a metaphor.
Foster children make up the homeless population of today.
Wait,
I
what?
introduced legislation.
Sorry.
Senate today.
How many?
Children, several years. I do not believe that a single child comes out whole after having been in this system.
It's that bad.
Many foster children make up the homeless population of today.
I didn't look for that stat.
I introduced legislation, Senate Bill 415, in my last session. A substitute bill was written at the last minute
Of
by the
course.
chairman of the Judicial Committee. All the strong points of my bill had been compromised. I was told.
So somebody, let's just, all right, speculation time. Somebody came out last minute with how these things work with getting legislation passed. No easy feat, especially when you're fighting against people that are solely interested in getting their pockets lined. She writes a comprehensive, detailed bill to ensure at least progress in CPS or safety oversight. Who knows? I'm only speculating here. That's all I have to go on for the time being. And somebody, some disgusting, deplorable human being waited last minute, because they have to wait X amount of time for certain bills to be seen or read on the floor, and takes out all the provisions she had, and it leaves it as a shell of what it was, and they pass it and say, mission accomplished. That's the number one way that the House and the Senate and our legislators get away with some of the most heinous acts that perpetuate our population. Everything wrong, you can pretty much just cycle back to faulty legislation, which to me is always implying a design. That's the people in power that do not have to be connected with everyday Americans. I continue to lose hope in representation. I am happy, however, and I don't care about the political aspect and optics. DeSantis is doing a great job. I've seen him talking about some of these very issues. I hope he finishes his term here and then runs for office. Moving on, Nancy Schaefer.
Accept it, Senator. At least you will get some legislation passed.
Some.
And I answered with, obviously, you do not know me. I did not come to the Capitol to get legislation passed. I came to make a difference.
That's what we need. Thank you. People don't
What can-
people don't get these jobs anymore to do just that. Like, I am not comparing myself to anybody in a position of power that can actually affect change in some way. So in my own humble way, I'm utilizing a platform, finding very good people that believe in good things and see universal problems where we don't have to focus on little things that divide us. Oh, you voted for that guy? I hate you. Screw that. We can look at something like this, and with resources and passion, we can do it. We can accomplish something fantastic here. And this woman, I'm convinced, had the exact integrity needed to go up to where she achieved, and then what happened, where she was exactly where she needed to be. She learned too much, said too much, and lost her job. Does that mean she lost all of her executive powers? Yes, but she still has the only thing we all have left anymore, her voice. And that is a legacy I intend to continue on. Thank you, Nancy Schaefer, for all the work you have done.
Be done. An independent audit should be called on every state.
Good night, Brandy. I miss you.
All Child Protective Services departments. I'm in touch with Congressman.
Please keep Brandy in your prayers, guys. She is a fighter, and she's going through a lot. Brandy, I know I've said this many times in my life. It's been a while. I have a little vacation coming up. I'll be calling you, sweetheart. I miss you dearly, and I wish you well, to you and your family.
And state officials, and the door may be possibly opening very slowly. A federal congressional hearing is needed. But let me add, due to the hundreds upon hundreds of cases that I've been called to consider, I placed calls to state senators, representatives in their respective states across the country.
And what kind of...
asking them to help me with certain families.
I want to know the response.
And I was told, if I help that family, or if I help you, I will lose my job.
Okay, so that right there, that sentence that we all know, she's speaking from experience and truth and sincerity. Okay, she's speaking from the heart here. She goes to the people in power, so-called power, elected by us, we the people, right? And these are our representatives. We're the constituency, okay? They're supposed to act within our interest. They're supposed to protect children at the bare minimum. This woman cared enough to call everybody she possibly could within her connection or network, and everybody in a position to do something said, if I help you or this or that family, which is, I don't know what specific cases she has dealt with, but I can at least cite the 40 some odd different families and children she has single-handedly tried to rescue as some of the very references that were ignored. She went to the people that we have elected, and they said, nope, can't do it, you're toxic. You're cancerous. I help you. My career is done. So that means they care more enough about the structure of power that rewards honesty and sincerity, giving a shit, with removal of your reputation, removal of your namesake, removal of your executive power or legislative power. That is so sad. Without just saying it's got to change, I want to know what has to be done to change it. It's a lot of talk, man, and all I can do is just lose my breath and talk. I want action. We're going to get there one day. That's all I have to tell myself.
Remove, abolish the federal and state financial incentives.
Thank you.
And those are taxpayer dollars.
Thank you again.
Those dollars have turned CPS into a business that takes children and separates families for money. Open family court. Remove the confidentiality laws. Give parents their rights verbally and in writing. I even feel that to terminate the rights of parents, the case should be heard before a jury.
She wants to give a louder voice to this problem, and she wants to reward the voices. She's not asking for much. Asking for what? Making certain things public. So let me do like just a hypothetical here. Let's say one of those, untouchable rich fellas or ladies for that matter is going through some sort of family court issue, and they are using their power and influence to take away the child from the loving mother or father. I don't know if this gets redacted or it gets just completely covered up, but I think she's asking for exactly what we all need for every issue we have. Let's go down the line. How about, man, YouTube, don't strike me down now. Let's go down the line. How about for, trying to speak wisely here, things like, vaccines, more transparency for that process, and, any problems that may come up, not to say or suggest that our elections aren't completely 100% safe, and we never need to worry about it, but how about more civilian oversight and transparency as a result? Transparency everywhere. That's the first step in gaining the people's trust again, because every institution that reaps its benefits from our tax dollars has no accountability because nobody's watching them. And this is where they believe they're untouchable, and people that believe they're untouchable will do the most monstrous acts.
Family rights and parents' rights must be protected. We do not need more influence like the UN's Convention on the Rights of the Child. It's anti-parent, anti-child, and anti-common sense for the family. There has to be perseverance for any great reform, and great reform is needed in this area. As Charles Spurgeon put it, how do you tame a lion that is well fed? First, he must be brought down. Second, his stomach must be lowered. How do you tame Child Protective Services? It may be only by closing it completely and starting over at the beginning with pro-family values. In closing, let me remind you that there is case law from state appellate and federal district courts and up to the United States Supreme Court, all of which affirm the constitutionality of the rights of parents to actually be parents to their children. There's biblical law too. It goes like this: speak up for those who can't speak for themselves.
I can abide by that.
And for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy. Thank you.
I wholeheartedly, so what I'd like to, I guess, propose to you, the viewer, to everybody here, family. I hear every time people talk about, and I'm not using like hyperbolic terms here, okay? Is starting over, is tearing something down to begin anew always radical and scary? I think it's a notion that we need to prepare for. I don't think it's radical at all. Don't worry, I'm pulling up the next thing. I mean, if this, I've only scratched the surface here, but if this is as bad as I keep on learning, because there's fluff pieces that you could tell are pretty much paid for by people with some vested interest, but the horror stories I've seen with simple searches, I mean, yeah, I think tearing down to begin anew is a good way forward for a lot of things. All right, so give me a moment. I wanted to start with, okay, here's the workers fired from CPS, and because they're fired, they became whistleblowers. Do I wish anybody in a position to speak up would have done so before they lost their job? Absolutely. Does it put on a certain different perspective or optic on it, on how this looks? Are they just pissed off? Well, I guess whatever it takes, though. Now they're speaking the truth. They have spoken the truth. I'm not certain when this aired, but okay, yeah. This is a bit back, so let's bear with me on that. Is a little travel back to 2014. This has been going on and on and on. When are we all just going to collectively be so tired about the same issues going on, exhausting us, draining us, and losing our faith and trust in everything we've ever been programmed to believe works? How long can that really sustain itself? So here we go. Let me hear. I have not seen this in its entirety.
For failing to investigate cases, want their story told. ABC 15's Navita Forgani spoke with these workers today, and Navita, they believe they should have never been fired. That's exactly right.
Shout out to the queen who, inspired me to get back on Instagram and has offered resources as well. Thank you. And Queen Survivor, Miss Chronic Chronicles, you're all fantastic family. Fantastic.
Right, Katie, all 5 women tell me they were hand-picked to review cases that weren't getting looked at because of their years of experience in social work. And they tell me they were just doing exactly what they were ordered to do.
We really didn't do anything wrong.
5 CPS caseworkers standing by their work.
We devoted our lives to Arizona CPS, and this is the repayment that we get.
These women say it was widely known that cases were not investigated.
It wasn't hidden, it was discussed.
It was widely known within the company, we'll call it, whose job it was to look into every case. Every case doesn't represent a number or a paycheck. It represents a family unit and a child in need. And they're sitting here talking about there were hundreds, if not thousands, of cases that were overlooked and ignored. That's what they're saying.
So why would anybody lose their job?
Documents from the DPS investigation reveal the NI process was developed in 2009. These workers claim they were using standards already developed.
Given the fact that we had hundreds of reports just sitting out there, nobody was looking at them, nobody was going out on them, it was absolutely critical that there be a process put into place to review each and every one of those reports to ensure that our workers were getting out on the most critical cases.
And making sure children did not slip through the cracks.
The very first time we had to mark a case as not investigated, that's something you put a lot of thought into, and you just hope that you are making the right decision and that this is not a child that we're leaving in an unsafe situation.
But when the practice of labeling cases as not investigated became public, an independent team reviewed the cases and found more than 540 at-risk children had to be immediately removed from their homes.
Whoa. Let me fully understand. An independent, oversight committee? What committee? Who are these people? They got to access what now? And 572 children that were either they were not investigated, under-investigated, or put somewhere toxic, left in the system. I need to replay just a little bit and understand a little bit better.
The cases and found more than 540
Let's go even further.
This is not a child that we're leaving in an unsafe situation.
But when the practice of labeling cases as not investigated
Okay, so it became public because these individuals were simply writing down what I understand to be the truth, and they maintained at this time that it was their job to write down the status of a active case for a child, and they found how many references or issues that they had to say, okay, this entire case regarding a child or children has not been investigated whatsoever. So somebody else had to step in. That's bad. That's really bad. And they get fired for that? For writing down the truth. For saying, yeah, there has been little to no looking into the safety of these children. And it was made public. So they were fired? Okay, now who is this committee?
Came public. An independent team reviewed the cases and found more than 540 at-risk children had to be immediately removed
542 children.
For certain that
As a result of going public, 542 or 72 children were removed from their homes because it was toxic or dangerous.
children removed were not from reports that we had done.
claiming these cases had been reviewed by other CPS workers.
Man, okay, this adds a whole other uncomfortable, disconcerting dynamic to it, to be honest. This doesn't make me breathe any lighter, to be honest.
Picture being painted out there is that the 5 of us are responsible for all 6,600 cases. That's untrue.
Oh my god, they got... Okay, 5 women, 5 human beings, individuals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 people were scapegoated and blamed for 6,600 children for not being taken care of. Are you kidding me? Tell me they were made a patsy. They were made to be like the Lee Harvey Oswald here. Don't tell. Oh my God! And this was back in 2014. Was it bots? Like they lost their jobs for marking these cases not being investigated, and it was made public. They lose their jobs, and 6,600 different cases were blamed on them. That's no. That is complete bullshit. That is a foundational problem and issue that goes far beyond 5 individuals. Please give me a break. They keep on insulting our intelligence.
There are people that are still in the agency that have put their names on NIs, and nothing has happened to them.
A 6th person was fired. Deputy Director Sharon Sargent was a high-level CPS official, but no one else in the department has been disciplined so far. And as for Director Clarence Carter, he still maintains that he's had no knowledge that cases were not being investigated, which is
bullshit.
Something these women dispute.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if there's more to come on this. Thanks, Navita.
Okay, to say the least. Look what I'm checking out. All right, give me a moment. I apologize for that. Oh, and everything's so much louder now, which is not a bad thing. Okay. There was a case. All right, let me just come out and say before I read this one, this is devastating. This is trigger-worthy. I only have read the title. I've yet to listen to or hear the video. It's a very short video. And then I'm going to read some of the details. Let me warn you. I mean, you see it there, right? And let me definitely repeat allegedly here, okay? This is back in 2020, apparently. Brothers allegedly killed by adoptive parents were unlawfully taken from biological mother, suit says. So from the title alone, that would insinuate that the biological mother who cared, because these children are gone now, deeply for her 4- and 3-year-old, the adoptive parents allegedly ended them. 4 and 3, so be ready. Let me, I think this is the mother. Tap to unmute. Play.
Hard for me to talk about without getting emotional.
A federal lawsuit.
Sorry.
Seeks $40 million in damage.
I don't know why the sound is so troublesome. Give me a moment.
Without getting emotional.
I'm going to fix this, I promise. Because we have the technology. Okay. If I have to refresh, so be it. I'm going to do a refresh. Might be a commercial at worst, but this woman needs to be heard. I wish I would have covered this sooner. All right. Little for-profit system happening. Yes, fantastic. That's right. Let's do that. Jeans, that's what we all care about. Oh, tampons? Hey, that's the perfect ad. Is there something else I could look at? Oh, there's the 4 and the 3-year-old that we'll be talking about. That's what the video's about, okay? So let those looks, those innocent children, let that be in your mind when we listen to this mother speak. The one we were told was her children were taken from her unlawfully. Don't you give me the... Okay.
Without getting emotional.
There we go.
A federal lawsuit filed by the Dean Moore family seeks $40 million in damages for alleged civil rights violations.
My family and I have been treated unfair. Have been no apologies. There's no respect.
The suit names the State Department of Social Services, Kern County Human Services, and Jacqueline and Trezell West as defendants.
You guys ruined my life.
I hate this happened to my daughter. This is my baby girl right here. And nothing else to do right now but mourn and make sure Kern County pays for their negligence.
That the defendants and each of them interfered with the reunification, and the preservation of the family.
In 2016, Dean was suspected of child abuse after she took her oldest son, Oren, to Memorial Hospital for a broken leg. According to the suit, Dean filed reunification requests and completed parenting classes to regain custody, but no luck. In 2017, she gave birth to Orson, only to have him removed a week later.
To lose my child.
After 1 week.
And for my second child to be born into it, and for me to take him home for a week and lose him, it hurts.
In late 2018, both boys were removed from a foster home and placed with the West. Afterward, Dean noticed during visits that her children seemed scared and were losing weight, and Orson had scratches on his face, the suit says.
I just want answers. Like, why? Why Kern County? What was the purpose of not giving them to me?
The suit also says that Moore filed a request to have the children placed with her, but in 2019, the department revoked Dean's parental rights without explanation and denied her request.
Whoa.
Placing the children in a home of the West.
When any institution, especially one that's responsible for the safety of children, can do whatever the hell they want without having to give an answer for it, then we're definitely dwelling in an area of extreme danger. Again, funded by our tax dollars. I hope I need to do a clarification. If anybody that's watching can offer the clarification, please do so, because I'll just rest easier. Let me just give you the example, real world example. When a police officer is held accountable and sued, okay? When an officer or department is sued because the officer screwed up, when the person that was harmed or whatever the case is with these kinds of situations, when they sue these departments, you know the department and the officer that did the damage is not the one that's hurting financially or that has to pay up. No, that would be the state. So, by extension, okay, you and I pay for every time a law enforcement officer or department of law screws up. Every time a citizen is wrongfully dealt with, harmed, killed, whatever the case, it is we're footing the bill for our own damages. You know what I mean? Like, we're the ones being harmed. We're the ones having our rights completely stomped on, and it's us that has to pay for it. I don't know what the term is. It's not qualified immunity, but whatever this is, imagine how much sharper an institution like CPS or law enforcement would be if they knew the money that went as restitution to victims was their own. Watch how fast they tighten up. Watch how fast. Closing statement. It's very brief.
Was a state-created danger.
Okay, all right. No, don't go just yet. Let me see some of the article here, okay? The biological mother of 2 California brothers. Let me see more about these adoptive parents. Their adoptive parents, Trezell and Jacqueline West, have been charged with murder. While authorities said the brothers are dead, their bodies have not been found. I just feel like I didn't deserve this, Dean said at a news conference Tuesday. I'm not a criminal. I do not have a bad record. Since I cannot read that name, and that I will not do it justice. Then 3 months old was removed from his mother's care in 2016. After Dean said she came home and found him crying uncontrollably, according to the lawsuit, which alleges civil rights violation and wrongful death. The child's father said that he gave the baby 2 baths and that nothing else had happened that day. Dean took the child to the emergency room where she was informed that both of Sincere's legs were broken. Dear God. An x-ray did not show any other injuries according to the suit. Dean was told at the hospital that Kern County Human Services would be taking the child and placing him with a foster family because hospital staff members believed he had been abused. The suit says no allegation of abuse were lodged against Dean. So if they have enough credibility to take your child away from you, how do they not have they didn't have to prove it? Is that what I'm to understand? If we are going to rely on these institutions, like, I'm getting tired of saying it already, I am. But we're going to rely and implicitly, ignorantly, blatantly trust them. They need to explain why they're going to take any child away from any family. No, regardless of your class, status, or whatnot. That woman deserved an explanation. I totally understand the optics, man. It did not look good, right? Child has 2 broken legs. I'd be like, what the fuck as well. Okay, but there was no formal explanation given. There should have been a criminal investigation. That could have prevented this, and now they're gone. These children are gone. 2 and 3 years old. All right, here's one of the organizations I found. And I'm trying to keep up with all of the information that I've been dabbling in here. Okay, this is a shout out to the Queen, who's currently in the chat. She sent me this. This one's pretty powerful. All right, so I'm going to let this one ride for a bit. Not in its entirety.
I'm here today. My name is Joanne Malone. I am the owner of Seeking Recovery.
Is the audio okay here?
I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I am a 31-year recovering heroin addict.
Sincere.
I was in the United States Navy, served, so I'm a vet.
Veteran.
Disabled. I have been doing this job for a long time. I have a bachelor's in mental health and addiction studies. I have a master's in human services and addiction, mental health and nonprofit. I was a CASA guardian ad litem on the East Coast.
Yeah, it's big government always. Low volume? Thank you.
I was an assistant teacher at the University of Maine at Augusta, and I taught addiction classes.
Ooh, that's terrible. I'm so sorry, guys.
I came across here from the East Coast after my children.
I can't.
And I landed here in Great Falls, and
All right, I will return to the video, but I'm concerned about the audio quality. So let me read a little bit. All right, bear with me. On multiple occasions, there is need for Child Protective Services to intervene in a family home to protect children from abuse or neglect. There are certain factors that trigger domestic abuse, including but not limited to child endangerment needing intervention. There are times when stress or other factors result in making poor decisions, placing the family unit in less than desirable conditions. In July 2019, a rally was held that opened the door for the need for transparency within. This goes back to Nancy Schaefer. A lot of these people are asking for is transparency. They're not asking for entire reform. They're just asking that they see the truth as it occurs. Why is that radical? Why is that disturbing? Why does it get people to have their jobs taken away from them? That would be like somebody asking to watch me do my job, and I just say no. And if I said yes, I'd get fired for that. I don't understand this complete backward standard here. Transparency is absolutely needed. Sorry, I'm looking in the chat. Okay, let me. A very disturbing side of this was exposed back. Let's go back. In August 2019, family members rallied to bring awareness to a situation with CPS where concerns were openly disclosed. Parents fighting for their children are facing a structure that works to protect the system at the expense of the family. The system at the expense of the family. You see where our priorities are? The system is one that demands profiteering off of itself. It demands people that don't care and just want to get paid and funnel more cash through while ignoring the core values of a family, the love, the passion, the empathy. I'm convinced there's a hell of a lot of sociopaths and psychopaths running these institutions. So a very disturbing side of this was exposed back in early 2020 when we heard Montana Vietnam War veteran John Walton crying for help. Mr. Walton wished to intervene in a family issue that placed his grandchildren in danger. CPS took policy authority given under DPHHS and removed John Walton's grandchildren without due process. How can you do these things without due process? I want to understand the factors. Is it because they're low-income families, and so they don't have the same voice, which is why there's power in numbers? This is why a community like this is important. CPS... let me go back. Mr. Walton openly cried foul against officials within DPHHS, being a Montana citizen that witnessed real human tragedy in the war. This is not, a veteran that cares enough about their own grandchildren, that's taking care of them and has them taken away without due process. Does that not go against everything that they fought for when they come back to this country? CPS retaliated against Mr. Walton for making claims of abuse by the system against his grandchildren. Nope. You cannot blame the status quo. Don't you dare. We have to have scapegoats. We need 5 women that were somehow at fault for 6,600 children that were displaced. Yeah, that's what they want. They want these companies want patsies. They don't care about the real people involved in these cases. I know they don't care about the children at this point. That's where I'm getting a little biased. There was no process for resolution afforded by CPS, and the judicial branch gave full deference to the department without question. In another case, a woman that was in trouble when she was young found her record dating back 30 years earlier was held against her in caring for her grandchildren in her home without due process. A grandmother in good standing in the community was targeted, leaving her without the ability to care for her grandchildren. Okay, so I'm seeing a reoccurring theme here. The elderly, they're easy, they're vulnerable, and if they have little to any real income coming in, they are the easiest targets to go and get their children or grandchildren taken away. Okay. I'm seeing some strategy here. I'm seeing a madness in the design. Sorry, I see the messages coming in. Okay. Eventually, the system usurped power over Mr. Walton's rights, a veteran who was in a war, the Vietnam War, I believe, and had him placed in jail. Are you kidding me? There was no process for... I went back and forth. They put him in jail. Okay, and now I'm talking about the woman here. Jesus. A grandmother in good standing in the community was targeted. Okay, another well-respected citizen, there's just case after case, of Montana with a stellar record of providing an open door to helping people in need is fighting for his life and his daughter. In this case, multiple facts have been brought forward in a divorce custody battle. Both the father and child have been put in harm's way by a system that is working to justify actions taken by the department. It's like... I'm not comparing them to, but it reminds me of when we demand justice, when we find corruption within the FBI or the CIA or the police themselves. You think IE is really, we know we have plenty of examples of internal investigations or affairs, at least divvying out some form of justice. But those police unions, man, these people get back. They'll get their paid leave and they get back to getting back to whatever it was they were doing to screw over John Q. Public or Jane Doe. Let me see more about this specific citizen. Both the father and child have been put in harm. Okay. Clear documentation introduced in Montana District Court reveals a side of the story that is horrific. When a child is placed in a tug-of-war between conflicting parents by a system that refuses to look beyond assumptions, the father and his child lose. This case is still pending and privacy is paramount to protecting this young girl, so we cannot divulge any further facts at this time. There is no process for resolution afforded by CPS still to this date. All right, let me find this video that it was just brief. I might have to even open up my IG briefly. This is where the queen herself, not the royal queen, but the queen. Let me open up my IG. I don't care that my name is there. Somebody's trying to dox me, I heard. That's fantastic. But however, let me respect anonymity real quick and do this thing. Yeah, okay, that's better. Now, give me a moment. Let me go to where this article is. I think I shared it to myself. Not that one. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. I will find it because I have it. Okay. Let me open up the link here. Because the video that I did find available, I don't want to have you guys sit through 30 minutes. I saw something that was much better condensed. I'm going to hit play on something. You may hear the audio. But I'm playing it careful. Okay. One moment. Apologies. Let me see if this audio is any better. If not, I have to move on to the next. Is that sufficient? I'm gonna give a moment. If the audio from this is, if you can hear it okay or well enough, just go ahead and type Y. If it's too low, just go ahead and type N or L, whatever the hell you want. But I need to know that you guys are hearing this. So I'm gonna hit it again.
My name is Joanne Malone. I am the owner of Seeking Recovery. I just want to tell you a little bit.
Did you
about
hear?
my
I am the owner. Oh, I think the audio switches from video to mic. That makes sense. But how is that audio? You good? Sweet Pea, thank you.
31-year recovering heroin addict. I was in the United States Navy, served, so I'm a vet.
Thank you, family. Thank you.
I have been doing this job for a long time. I have a bachelor's in mental health and addiction studies. I have a master's in human services and addiction, mental health and nonprofit. I was a CASA, guardian ad litem, on the East Coast for 8 years. I was a
Why'd I do that?
teacher at the University of Maine at Augusta, and I taught addiction classes, mental health classes as well. I came across here from the East Coast after my children grew up, and I landed here in Great Falls, and I became a counselor at Gateway.
Boghag.
In August of 2017.
Up a little.
I started seeing, I was very disappointed in the treatment that was being given here in regards to addiction and mental health, because I myself am an addict, and I was put through multiple treatments by my parents, and nothing helped.
It's as high as it can go.
On the streets of New York, and
It's as high as it can go. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna jump up a little bit here.
so I have been through that.
She's giving her entire breakdown. She's an addict. She's been through it. She's opened up a recovery center. So I want to get a little bit past the background into the core battle here, whatever it may be. She's clearly in front of a committee of some kind.
As an LAC.
Can't hear anything.
With my husband, managed to keep this place going through the entire COVID, as we kept getting more and more clients. When we were allowed.
Anything Thor says, please take it very seriously. So please show love to Safe Haven's True Crime channel. Please, absolutely.
And the restrictions allowed us to use it in groups, and we would be doing groups 4 times a week, 2 hours in the day.
Going forward.
They were accusing her of starving her children.
Oh, okay.
She was Trudy's client. Trudy is a former medical doctor, and it was disclosed that she had Marie Charcot tooth disease, which is a genetic disorder that makes you look like you're starving your child, but it's just she looks like she's starving. They were accusing this woman of starving her child. So when we said, you know, the mother disclosed this genetic disease, let's get tested, we were told by Cammie Stone, we have no business telling them what to do. We are to mind our own business. And yes.
Whoa.
Those children, they're
Okay, so the parties involved, and I know I jumped ahead quite a bit, but I don't want to ask you guys to watch 30 minutes of this deposition. People were expressing concern, and when they expressed it, I assume to CPS, they were told to mind their business. That's not how you treat the population that pays your that pays you. Okay, it's our tax dollars yet again, and you are completely violating our rights when we want to look into. See, they're just preventing transparency. They want to operate without accountability, and that I think I can say for every corrupt institution ever.
This is the same client who.
It's just like other predators that we were aware of, like Roni Raj, for example, like any of them, where they completely, control the narrative. They want to control everything. Like when you call in, he'll hang up on you and then claim the whole time you were there, you just decided to up and leave. I don't mean to bring up Roni Raj, but I mean, there's certain predators out there. I see how they operate, and it's always controlling the narrative.
Had a newborn baby. She was couch surfing, so she was pumping her milk and putting it in the freezer. Tammy Belmont was a caseworker. Tammy Stone was the supervisor. Tammy would go once a week to pick up the frozen breast milk. Well, where she was couch surfing, her patches were ringing up. People were doing that, so she had to get out of there. We had to put her someplace. And Tammy said to her, "I'm not coming every day to pick up your breast milk." So she told the foster mother to put the baby on formula, and that mother lost her.
Uh-oh, buffering. Hold on. Oh, God, don't do this. Of course. Hold on, I'm getting buffering. Is everything okay? Oh, goodness gracious. Am I buffering is the question. Okay, that one just can't, that's fine. For now, that's fine. Can I be heard right now? Alright. All of a sudden, YouTube wants to play games. That's okay. Or my connection. I'm going to jump. I'm going to do a hop and a skip right up to where we left off. Or, thankfully, it's there.
Once a week to pick up the frozen breast milk. Well, this one particular client's case management, the cognitive, he needs structure and he needs case management so bad that I'm eating that bill. So that we can make sure he is successful in reunification, because if we pull out case management, there's nobody to help him.
This woman that runs a recovery facility is explaining that she was footing the bill and financing people that were well enough to stay on track. I suppose. I don't know if testifies before elected officials. I want to understand. I got to hear a little bit more to get a better grasp.
So they're not paying. They don't want to pay the bill, but we're still providing those case management services. And they took this poor guy out of our facility and sent him down the street and said they can do what they want because they're paying the bill.
If you can't pay, you get no care. We don't run on compassion, empathy, or anything that makes us human. We just completely default to the green god here. It's all about the power of the mighty green. Okay. Since I'm uncertain that this is on the CPS Corruption Exposed, and this video, though, I feel like I'm a little bit misleaded here. A few weeks ago, we covered a public hearing about 3 legislators in Great Falls. The hearing was organized by Miss Joan Malone, who owns Seeking Recovery. Seeking Recovery provides counseling services and employs a full accredited staff to provide her help for families in need across Montana. After 6 hours of testimony, the picture of corruption continued to get more evident. Okay, so we have another example of just a system failing anything that's citizen-run. All right, so give me a moment as I'm going to dabble through some other things. I don't know if it's going to be... I wanted to offer more, like actual clips or something, but let me see this. All right, this one's got my attention. CPS corruption in Arizona forever impacted the lives of nearly, guess a number, 15,000 people. I hope that's not all children. Let's get educated together. CPS corruption in Arizona is the norm. That's devastating to hear. The total number of children with active cases with the Arizona Department of Child Safety is roughly 15,000. Nearly 850 of these children are confirmed missing. Wait, what? Damn. Wait, with it? Okay, all right. Because sometimes when I read things and I'll put 2 and 2 together too soon, I always have to take a step back and compose myself to really understand the data that I'm taking in real time here. So again, total number of children with active cases with the Arizona Department of Child Safety is roughly 15,000. Nearly 850 of these children, like we were told earlier, the majority of children put in the system in foster care are homeless. So if that's the insinuation here, I am devastated and baffled and scared. Okay. Families of children removed by DCS along with a state senator allege that the agency has been trafficking their children. Okay, Do I say alleged? Fuck no. No, I'm reading public information. Decipher it. CPS corruption in Arizona is destroying lives day after day, week after week, year after year, yet nobody with power seems to be doing anything to correct these injustices. Does that sound familiar? Arizona's child welfare system has never been perfect. You'd be hard-pressed to find anyone knowledgeable on the subject who'd say it's not heavily flawed. After all, Arizona Child Protective Services has long been a symbol of failure. I did not know this about Arizona. I'm going to call my friend that lives there. A bastion of mistrust, destruction, and child endangerment. To understand the current CPS corruption in Arizona, we must briefly examine crucial chapters of the past decade. In 2009, Arizona's economy crashed. Consequently, we were all feeling it at that time. Budget cuts were made, even to Arizona CPS. As a result, the agency became overwhelmed with a caseload it did not have the manpower to handle in a timely manner. A prioritization system was developed to handle the cases most efficiently with limited resources. Okay, I'm thinking about the budgets that we have on so many things. Is this a bad look when I think about our military-industrial complex, prison complex, all of the things that make the most money in our country, and we can never think about perhaps reallocating? I hope this doesn't make me just sound like a radical progressive. I'd like to think this is exactly what makes me perhaps a patriot. Reallocating the money that goes to mostly somewhat, well, I can't call the military complex failed, but how about when I covered the Air Force and them not being able to account for why every mug they purchased was $5,000? And I think in totality, they ended up not being able to account for somewhere in the ballpark of a couple $1 million. And it was all just appliances, guys. Don't ask us why a mug costs $5,000. It's a really good mug, okay? Yeah, of course. Okay, sorry, mind is getting manic here. As a result, report of child abuse and neglect would snowball. See, that's what those 5 women were talking about. Under-investigated or completely not investigated was mentioned and made public. I forget in which state that was. They get fired for making that public or for just writing down the truth. Getting fired for the truth. Wow. Okay, they expected processing delays. It was inevitable. However, nobody knew how bad things would get. In fact, CPS never even looked into 6,500 reports of child abuse. How do you overlook that? I don't care how limited your resources are. Ask for help. Get other resources. There's a connection. Anything that is funded by taxpayers needs to have a network where this kind of failure is unacceptable. You don't just let 6,500 reports about children being abused just get swept under the rug. That is unacceptable. Okay, there is a standard and a precedent that we all need to have here. A bare minimum, and that's far below it. As a result, many of those children were abused, neglected, assaulted, or killed. Who's to blame for corruption in Arizona? 5 upper level, again with the number, that's such a, okay. 5 upper level CPS managers eventually took the blame. This is about the same case. It's got to be. It has got to be. There's a phone number up there. Okay, though it is highly unlikely that only those 5 individuals were responsible for completely ignoring 6,500 reports of child abuse, this level of confirmed CPS corruption in Arizona made national news. This is the same case, and I just so happened to find a clip of the exact people they scapegoated. There was so much public and political outrage that then Governor Jan Brewer abolished Arizona CPS. That could give me hope that a restructuring was done, which is what Nancy Schaefer herself was kind of saying from the get-go. In Arizona, there are law firms that specialize in CPS cases. Okay, I'm just getting the further picture painted here. We're constantly finding out. Arizona is home to 3 ICE detention facilities. You're probably familiar with the tens of thousands of children who have been reported missing from ICE detention centers. You're probably familiar with the popular hypothesis that these missing children have been sex trafficked. Ooh, this gets dark and heavy. It wouldn't be out of the ordinary After all, this seems to be the norm for Arizona at this point. Some people believe these are all just cogs in the elaborate, I can't even read this stuff, elaborate child, trafficking system. I have to, at this point, state that this is an organization run by very passionate people, and this is, I'm merely reading this for educational purposes. YouTube, okay? A far-reaching scheme that was once run by, oh my goodness, I'm going to get pulled, by Jeffrey, can you guess the last name there? Who conveniently, unalived. Okay. If you're familiar with the case, you know he had close connections to very powerful people entrenched in governments and big businesses around the world. Very true. Flight logs still waiting, by the way. Flight logs and, whatever happened with, I'm going to get pulled. Isaac Cappy, that's all I'll say. Look into that one. I think I did a whole special on that long ago. I think I got a warning. Is it possible that CPS corruption, we're delving in speculation, but it's the power of our own ability to think freely that makes us dangerous when we're united. So I will continue to read this. Here we go. Is it possible that CPS corruption in Arizona is only the tip of the iceberg? 15,000 children remain under the care of the agency, and we don't know how many of them are actually safe. However, that's just one agency in one state. That's very true. Let that paint a full picture for you of how broad and heartbreaking this problem is. If this is merely one piece in a national trafficking business, would we ever find out the exact total or how many years this has been going on? That's been a big question that's been reeling around in my head. Criminally incompetence. At the very least, Arizona DCS is criminally incompetent. 800 plus missing children may be a conservative estimate considering the 15,000 in the DCS system. The missing children, the allegations, and the long history of CPS corruption in Arizona point to a nightmarish child trafficking conspiracy at high levels of state government. Where did I find myself? Is the Arizona Department of Child Safety running a trafficking ring with children? The truth is more important than my nerves. Okay. Furthermore, is Republican State Senator David Farnsworth correct? A name I'll be looking into. Are there truly interstate child... Oh my God, with the rings. Okay, so there is a connection with that guy who definitely didn't unalive himself because the cameras definitely didn't go off the exact moment the guards definitely fell asleep. So, I didn't expect where this was going to take me. Never do, really. Here's something else. I went out of my way to find areas on the internet where people empowered were trying to find unity and power with a voice. So let me do a brief little breeze here. They have it broken up into different talking points. Let me do something real quick. It's going to be on this face again. Can't apologize for that. But give me a moment here. There is something I want to do. I think I found what I was looking for much earlier. Let's see.
When you advertise with Google, search at...
Shut up, Google. Nobody likes you.
You're
the weird kid in class, Google.
CTM in Focus is the original reporting you'll see only on CBS this morning.
Oh God, is this copywritten?
Information on
I have to make sure.
Impact all of us. Today we are focusing
because
on
if it's
the
copywritten, I get taken down.
Facing Child Protective Services workers. 5-year-old AJ Friend.
I'm just gonna let the audio play. All right, so let's take a listen. I see the picture found dead in April. Oh God, trigger warning. Trigger warning. Let's take in the audio information. YouTube, all I got is educational purposes. Oversight.
Was found dead in Illinois in April, and his parents were charged with murder.
Afterward, we started looking into how something like this could allegedly happen, despite previous.
What do you mean could? What do you mean could allegedly happen? The child is dead. What is alleged about that?
By police and child welfare workers. We discovered hundreds of American children known to CPS agencies die of maltreatment every year. CTM national correspondent Jerika Duncan set out to learn why. Jerika? What did you find out?
You know, this is why we do what we do as journalists, to really delve into important issues. We spent a day with a Child Protective Services caseworker in Outagamie County, Wisconsin. What we witnessed was disturbing, heartbreaking, and real. For the protection of the children, we agreed to hide the parents' identities. This is a story about the challenges facing the men and women tasked with ensuring the safety of children across this country.
Screw it. Here you go.
Relapse is my biggest concern.
This woman is pregnant with her 5th child and admits using methamphetamines as recently as 2 weeks ago.
There's not much I can do.
It's Brittany Plowman's job to determine whether the kids living here are in danger.
I have some packets of information, one for each child.
As a caseworker for the Children, Youth, and Families Division in Outagamie County, Wisconsin, Plowman has already helped by putting 2 of the kids in daycare, where one just took her first steps.
She walked, and I didn't get to be there.
It's difficult that you got to miss out on that.
It is.
So this is a typical.
Let me ask you guys, chat. The Quentin Simon case, since I see that's being discussed. I have some qualms about like using a single child's name in the future. Like a lot of YouTubers just do that time and time again. And I don't know, you know, I have mixed feelings, and I don't have enough information about the case to be offering any sort of dialogue about it. But did they find Quentin in that landfill? I'll propose the question, and I'll check the chat, and we'll move on. We'll move on to this.
Yeah, multiple of these back to back.
This is a woman that's in recovery, trying to get better and get her children back.
Yeah.
Whew, that was pretty heavy.
Or, no, that's the CPS worker. The family, that was their scenario.
Handles new cases, typically working with about 15 families at once. She's one of 28 social workers in a county of more than 180,000 people.
There are things that you just
20
you can't fathom
for 180,000
basis. You can't fathom that a parent would do this to their child.
I pushed him into the wall. Her goal is to keep families together.
I cannot believe they did not find him yet. Thank you, Queen. They haven't found that child yet. I'm not even going to ask about the suspects, and I don't have the knowledge, so it's not my right to falsely represent or speak for something I do not know at this time.
But she's had to separate about a dozen of them in the past 3 years.
Have you ever had doubts about whether or not you should have removed a child from their home?
Oh yeah, there's definitely doubt. Am I doing the right thing? You know, who's gonna
20 representatives in a state with 180,000 people? Yeah, families?
Suffer from this the most.
In 2017 alone, an estimated 1,720 children died from abuse and neglect in the U.S. More than a quarter of those children were previously known to Child Protective Services agencies. The issue came to light earlier this year with the death of 5-year-old AJ Friend in Illinois.
Investigators located what they believe to be AJ's body, buried in a shallow grave wrapped in plastic.
Police charged his parents with murder. Child welfare workers had been called to their home before. Stories like that frustrate Maine State's.
Just like the example with Nicholas Cruz, okay, that's the mass unaliver of Parkland, Stoneman, and Douglas, near me, whereabouts. How many different agencies got wind of the red flags with him when he was younger, going pretty far back, going to elementary school up to present? We had counselors that reported on him, therapists, social workers, CPS, everything that could have possibly gotten involved and raised the red flags that were there. Screw raising the red flag. The red flags were already waving. Could have blown the whistle. And, you know, I have zero empathy for him at this point because of what he chose to do. But I still can't help but think about what if these systems that rely on our own tax dollars, everything we work for to work for us back, continuing to fail us, and then look at the worst things that happen. I'm getting so tired of hearing all these things happen on our watches, on our dime, and then the worst possible tragedy is the only thing it ever takes to get attention on these things. Not anymore. No, not with me with a freaking mic with pretty colors and a camera that I probably need to upgrade as well. I am not done with this.
Senator Bill Diamond, who's been focused on this issue for nearly 2 decades.
We're not making progress.
The former teacher has introduced a bill pushing for a long-term commission to study the problems within his state's Child Protective Services Department.
Thank you,
Kids
Don.
are being abused right now while you and I are talking. They're being abused terribly. The only reason we don't know who they are is because they haven't died yet.
Oh, God. That's exactly what I was trying to articulate. Perhaps sometimes simplicity is the master of trying to explain the complex. It's as simple as that. Things do not get attention until they hit the proverbial end. I don't mean to reference like rap songs, but Notorious B.I.G. said, "You're nobody till somebody kills you," or something to that effect. So until a child is abused or malnourished to the point of not being able to survive, that's when it becomes national news. That's the system we have that we're paying for. Tear them all down. Let's do it ourselves. I have gained more hope in society or in a society by starting a channel and getting the resources that have reached out to me than I have with every deplorable example I've been shown and some of the documents that have been sent to me that are fully discreet, details that will not be shared, but paint a larger picture to me.
Workers in many areas are underpaid and overworked. Reports of abuse have increased more than 12% since 2013, partly because of tougher laws requiring the reporting of suspected abuse, along with an increase in calls related to the opioid epidemic. This mother says her addiction began with a prescription for painkillers after oral surgery 15 years ago.
I've never been homeless. I would hate to become homeless, but there are worse things. Not being with my children would be one of them things. Have you ever?
Look, I'm starting to paint I'll call it crackpot theory for the sake of argument here. The big pharma, okay? We call it the opiate epidemic or whatever. All of those things that went out and ruined lives and killed my friends and almost took me out multiple times. I don't know that I really accept that the Slackler family, that's one of the families that invented Oxycontin and had it to Purdue. By the way, none of them saw jail time. None of the CEOs, none of the people that directly created and marketed these things and made plush toys, none of them saw justice. No, they didn't. They had fines. This is a family that were wealthy enough to buy museums. Okay, the only punishment they got, their family name was removed from contributing to a museum. That's punishment for the rich and powerful, people. You or I, whatever the case, we get caught with the very ingredients that they put to poison us. We go to jail. They that put out the poison, they get a fine. They get to live their lives, and none of them have apologized. The woman that was not a co-founder, co-CEO, like a vice president of Oxycontin for Purdue, and they were all members of the Slackler family. Sackler or Slacker? Slacker or Slackler. Sorry, you look it up, you'll find it. I apologize. Going off full memory here. She was interviewed, and they were asking her, imagine, not that it would have done a damn thing, but to know that she maybe had enough compassion or empathy to recognize the damage that was wrought by their seeking the almighty dollar sign. And when asked if she felt bad or would feel an apology was necessary, she did not apologize. Her quote unquote was, "I do not feel I have anything to apologize for." This is how disconnected the powers that be, that funnel, the swamp, the 1%, everything above us work. They don't care. We're cattle. We're less than cattle. We're numbers. We're consumers. We're not human. We're not hard workers. We are not somebody that goes to goes to church. We're not somebody that has a job or goes to meetings. None of these things that help, paint a picture of humanity matter to the people that just focus on being rich and getting richer. They are just so disconnected, and we are their victims.
Had your children taken from you?
Yes.
Here in Outagamie County, the number of kids in foster care has doubled over the past 4 years. But Brittany Plowman says she believes the children in this household are safe for now, with their father at home and with the additional assistance the county is providing.
Do you think this issue doesn't get enough attention?
More often than not, it's the bad stuff that surfaces and not the good. And I feel like
Okay.
that needs more attention because there's a lot of good that comes.
I'm sorry. Okay. I hear you, lady. You work hard. You'd like to hear some praises sung. You got, some 15 minutes here. Thank you for your service as well. You're one of the good ones, I'll assume. It appears. Hell, you look pretty tired. But there's far too many examples on a national level that paints a negative picture. And I'm with Nancy Schaefer, who lost her seat of power because she decided to not drop the issue of children being used as cattle and nothing more for profit. And there is nothing justifiable about children dying from malnourishment or abuse and then only getting attention when it's too late. So I'm going to say, fuck your praises. Okay, good job to you, but in the grand scheme of the institution that we all hope or trusted worked, no, I say F that, okay? Why am I holding back? Fuck CPS and their praises.
From child welfare. It's not just about removals.
The bottom line here is Child Protective Services workers say it's heart-wrenching to take kids away from their parents and try to avoid it unless it's necessary. They say they can reduce risk, but can't entirely eliminate the possibility that parents or caregivers will make tragic decisions after they leave. So, this hits close to home, I think, because I have a lot of social workers in my family, and you forget just how difficult this work is.
I'm going to do a little search real quick, all right?
It does,
And I promise I'm going to be working on this whole setup. Like, this is definitely unconventional. I probably look too far one way or the other. But aesthetics don't bother me as much. It's the message, it's the dialogue. So what I want to do is search for, well, let's see. Can't do anything unless you do it, right? That makes sense. CPS. Okay. Let me see this right here. Let me see if I could find something kind of golden that nails it down. And I got to give full credit if I end up using one of these resources. I am interested in this. Let me give a shout out to this creator. Check him out. I don't know how he'd feel if I played it, but okay. Let me open this up because it's got a very interesting title. The channel name is Dad vs. CPS. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and assume that this is being done for the right reasons for once. So I hope you don't mind. Let's see.
He's Dad versus CPS.
Oh crap! Music.
We got a situation here.
Okay. Okay. Stage 1. The kidnapping attempt begins. Do I risk this? We're gonna recommend that channel. Alright, but with the music here, let me give it just a couple of seconds.
I'm going to show you how to handle CPS correctly.
I'll give you the video.
I'm going to show you the process and document everything that's going on and show you exactly how to handle CPS.
Record everything. Alright, that's just not the acapella, instrumental.
How's it going? What's your name?
My name's Angela Shaw.
Okay. What do you work for?
I'm an investigator for Child Protective Services.
Okay. What are you doing here?
She starts filming him?
I have currently an open case and I'm looking for Melissa Escobar.
Remember, pausing and speaking is how we get fair use doctrine.
Do you have any allegations?
The allegations are neglect, supervision. What's your name?
Are those facts?
Those are allegations.
So they're not facts.
Those are allegations.
So they're not facts.
Like I said, those are allegations. What's your name?
Props to this guy.
They're not facts, right? Do y'all have a warrant?
So you stop them at the CPS level, but they're, they're federal. What's the term? And then the police, another arm, strong arm of, the higher ups. Not all cops are bad, but I do believe if you look at the grander picture or scheme here, they serve a monster. They serve a machine.
Okay. Please don't trespass. Please don't trespass. No, sir, you're trespassing already, sir.
I'm just gonna walk away.
Okay, I'm gonna back up because you got a gun. I'm gonna back up.
Do you have any kids here?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any kids here?
Why? Do you like kids?
Well, the CPS agent is concerned, and there's some allegations. She's just trying to.
Are those facts?
Get them out. There are allegations. There are people saying that.
I like that. Are those facts? Whenever you deal with allegations, ask exactly that. That is a very smart tactic, actually.
Are they facts? So they sworn by under oath and affirmation by someone under testimony to a judge that those are facts. Sir?
What's your name?
Sir, I don't think it up on myself. Do you know what section? Do you know what section 3802 of the statute penal code is? That I don't have.
Ooh, this guy's flexing.
Google it. Yeah, it says I don't have to identify myself unless I'm lawfully or illegally being arrested. And sir, I'm not committing no crime. You're not doing that.
Hello.
Third time. All in the same day.
He had come earlier, but I wasn't here. I had gone to take the baby to...
Wait. Meet some of the officers from the de facto government. I like the way this man thinks. All from the same private for-profit corporation.
So that's why I wasn't here. I didn't get to talk to nobody. You didn't even...
Listen to Angela admit CPS is a business. She has a business card she placed on the car. Well, damn it. That's a problem. We're admitting that this is a for-profit industry. Well done, CPS.
Number.
I told them they wanted my business card. They said no, but I said
Private for-profit corporation.
Oh, you didn't see that. I didn't see that. There's a card right there in the little... I said only the baby.
okay, and I do need to see the home environment.
She needs $5 too. She might need a new job.
Concerns that there's meth usage in the home and meth manufacturing.
Here in our house.
Yes, ma'am.
Are those facts?
Oh my God, no. That there's meth used in here.
Are those valid statements?
I said these are the allegations.
Those are not facts.
Okay, they're not facts. It's an allegation, right?
I love that.
Yes.
Now, who said that?
And reporters are confidential. I cannot disclose who the reporter is.
Okay.
You guys
Now let me prove drug tests are voluntary.
to get drug tested.
Is that drug test voluntary or is it mandatory?
Oh, this is voluntary, sir.
Okay, so you want them to volunteer for something they don't have to do.
On the affidavit she showed us, Angela Ocho is actually stating that the allegations are facts. Wow. So she's jumping. This is overreach of power. This is dangerous for any family trying to protect their own, the most vulnerable here. So meet Angela, a well-known de facto fabricator of court-ordered documents. This is where power gets me so nervous.
Or neglect.
Are those facts?
Like I said, so they're allegations.
Okay, they're not facts.
Like I said, they're allegations.
They're not facts.
How do you get an affidavit on allegation alone? That's a great point.
Allegations?
I do know that they're not facts, and they never were in my case. Ever facts. You want to know what facts are? Facts are that my daughter, Ariana Escobar, 12 years old at the time, said on Fox 29 News and Mundo Hispanico that she was raped, molested, abused, and threatened, all in CPS custody, and that she had told CPS everything.
All in CPS custody, and she had told CPS everything. Holy shit.
And that nothing has been done. Now, those are facts. Ariana's saying this.
My name is Ariana Escobar. I am 12 years old, and I want to tell my side of the story.
12 years old, and this girl had to... Wow. And now I just multiply this by every child that's in the system. What was it, 15,000? I've lost track. 66,000 different cases that needed some sort of investigation. How many children is this happening to within CPS? And it gets reported and then swept under the rug, which is clearly what they want every time, because they fire the very staff that they have paying, that they've hired to do a certain job, and when they do it too well, they are removed and made to be looked like it's all their fault. Oh man, things are broken.
Nobody kidnapped me or abducted me. molested and raped while in state's custody. I've suffered so much, and I've told CPS about everything, and nothing has been.
While making her illegal entry, I exposed the fraudulent document the CPS agent handed us. There was no... I gotta subscribe to this guy. I mean, if I'm gonna keep on reporting on this, I do have a special coming up. Two actual specials coming forward, but staying in the moment here. All right, still, it's unpaused. Here we go.
I need to see a valid court order before you even come inside. No, I need to see.
Learn your rights. Learn what demands that you can make. It's your frickin' right to do so. You do not have to just be steamrolled by anybody because they have a badge or because they stand in front of us and represent some sort of organization that is clearly for profit. You are greater than anybody that's simply trying to make a buck. When it comes to the sanctity of your family and children, that's the priority, not their fucking paycheck. This video is not going to be monetized.
Court order of warrant and the affidavit. Where's the affidavit? This is not an order to come inside.
Wow, they tried to flex on him to get in.
Hold on. You need 2 first-hand witnesses signed under testimony through a judge that these are facts.
Look at her. Look, every time she gets stopped in her tracks. I'm missing the humanity here. This dude is coming up with the receipts, with the knowledge, with statute numbers and everything. She's got nothing but allegations, and she's trying to continue to illegally at this point trespass and do her job. And I bet you, if taken further, she would get all the protections afforded to her, and somehow this man would be slandered. I'm going to try to contact this individual.
Yes, that's your house. This is everybody. This is what you call an invalid court order. There is no 2 first-hand witnesses alleging any of this. Who's the one that submitted this?
Who's the judge?
Who's the investigator that submitted
Who's
this?
the judge that signed that?
Who's the investigator?
Miss Angela, who is the judge
Who
that signed
submitted
that?
this? You know this is unlawful. You know that, right? We got you.
These people cannot stonewall us when we ask these questions. These are our rights.
Who's the one that submitted?
What is she just doing? What is she doing?
Who's the
Who
judge?
is the judge that it says on there? There's a court order.
Who's the judge? Who's the judge? Who's the judge?
There is no judge.
There is no judge.
Yes, ma'am. Donde mero está?
Who's the judge? Why don't you say it? Who's
Why
the
don't
judge?
you say who's the judges?
Signed. The only Okay. What the hell? Okay, I'm fascinated.
Who's the judge?
That's the attorney.
Who's the judge?
Attorney. And there's the presiding judge.
Ma'am, an attorney by law cannot move a court. Only a man can do it.
Mom, don't send her over because only a judge can do that, and that is wrong. She is wrong.
That's why she's not.
This is the same thing that they're trying to do, like always.
I hope this woman lost her job.
Child trafficking.
The cops can't do nothing.
Yo te dejé mirar todo bien. Porque no me estás echando mentiras, dices tú. Pero no me eches mentiras, me estás haciendo algo.
This is not a functioning democracy. This is not how this is supposed to work at all. Wow. You're trying to defend your family and your namesake and your reputation and keeping your family as a family. And imagine looking at that smug look and face every time you ask a legitimate question for the sake of your rights, your freedoms, your family. And you're met with all bullshit answers, nothing burgers.
Let's give her a chance to.
But the cops brought her over. Who do you call in this case?
Who's the first-hand witness?
And I'm being honest with you. How come there's no judge sign on there?
Who's the judge? Who's the judge? Who's the judge? Who's the judge?
No, where is it?
Who's the judge?
That's the cost number.
Who's the judge? Who's the judge?
You don't even know what judge it is.
You're
you
the
have
case.
to read it.
Who's the judge?
Sorry.
Who's the judge?
Let her talk.
You're sorry, Angela. You're very sorry.
Who's the judge?
Who's the judge? Who is the judge?
And who are the two first?
She doesn't have a freaking answer. How do you not do your homework if you're going to try to take a child away from their parents' arms? Especially one that was already in the system and had to go through some of the worst violation that can possibly happen to a human being, let alone a child.
By law, who's the 2 first-hand witnesses under testimony by perjury?
Okay. Let them do what they need to do.
it's okay because this is all gonna come back to the court.
This officer doesn't even need to be moderating. This is between the family and CPS. Okay, all right.
Come back to the judge. Under
She gonna
penalty
cry?
of perjury. Who were the two first-hand witnesses signed under testimony?
She
to a
already
judge?
checked the baby all over her body.
Yeah, they
in
had-
the room.
yeah.
Está bien todo. So there's nothing in there.
See? Okay. And like I said, there were some allegations.
We
that
don't
were
care
made
about
against
allegations.
you in regards
I have
to
a right
drug
to talk.
use.
I have a
But
right
there's
to
no
talk.
drug use.
I know, and that's
And
why
there's no judge signed this. Tú, Angela. There's no judge signed that. ¿Por qué no me dijiste?
The judge signed that.
You
What
didn't.
judge?
What judge signed that? In the back.
What is his name? That's
I
not
don't-
judge. That's
you
the
don't even know who he
attorney.
is.
Embarrassing.
That is the presiding
You don't
judge.
know
We
who
don't care about that. We want
Your tax dollars fund this kind of performance. I know if I didn't know the name of a client or a vendor or something in my job, I'd be in a hell of a lot of trouble. Hell, I'd probably be sent home. This right here, unacceptable for such a serious job.
to know who the judge is.
You don't even know who the judge's name is. What's his name?
She actually admits she doesn't know what judge signed it.
What judge
She,
signed
Mom,
it?
that means
You-
that she
you
could have
said-
signed it.
Who submitted this?
She could have signed it.
Look.
She could have signed it herself and done it. Yes,
Who,
Mom.
who submitted this?
Signed this March
submitted
20, 2019.
Who submitted this?
Grandma? No. You're not handing over
Are
the
y'all telling me that
no,
y'all
I'm
came
not.
over?
I will now investigate who this judge is, as it appears that this is a phony order. An attorney for CPS who was not even a first-hand witness appears to have submitted this. Holy Jesus.
Okay, goodbye. You can leave now.
She can't.
But you know what?
Walk away.
But you know what? We will have this all on social media. We will have you all over Facebook.
We need her to say who the judge was and who were the two first-hand witnesses that actually got this authorized.
This is not how this works, sir.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. This is the
When you stand up for your own rights, this is not how this works. That's why I love the term justice for just us, because of examples like this. Because when we stand up for our rights, when we seek actual justice, this is not how that works. You fucking kidding me over here. Come on now.
law. This is the law.
That's the law, right?
This is the law.
You don't like it, right? Okay. That's the law.
We're not doing no contracts with y'all.
Baby Escobar was not removed. She is still safe. Approved.
This is the attorney for CPS. This is not how you sign an order. And right here, it just says judge presiding, and it's just scribbled.
That's what I was thinking.
It's supposed to say right here in print the name of the judge, his full name. This is all invalid. The caseworker for CPS, Angela Ochoa, is the only one present.
I'm gonna look, family, pro Pat fam. I'm gonna go off on a limb. Really gotta do something about this whole setup, but I think everything shown paints a picture here. What I really wanted to accomplish, and what I promise I will do, is I'm trying to find as much like raw numbers data. It's just going case by case. It's important because we remember we're dealing with human beings. They're not just, an inmate number. It's quite the opposite, really. These are free citizens of the United States of America being intimidated and harassed and having fraudulent reports written for the sake of CPS to be able to turn a profit. I'm disgusted. Let this entire... What did I go for 2 hours here? Let this live serve as just one of the many examples we have that we have to police our own. We have to know our rights, get educated, pool our resources together, and stand by and stand together. Unity is important, not just because it's an kumbaya word. It's important because it's the only thing that can give us strength in the face of institutions that are too big to fail or too well connected. And I'm sick and tired and done with the whole thing with the rich and powerful do not play by the same rules. I'm done with it. I'm over it. Justice for just us. I will bid you all adieu. I always feel that when I stop, it's kind of too like in the moment, but I promised I'd go on and do my solo, and here I am. Thank you again, Pooh, aka DJ Bricks. Show that man some love. He's got a very small request for someone with such a big heart. 500 subs. If we can get him that, he can post on his community. That's all he wants to be able to do. I'm going to find that link. I'm going to post it on my community again and on the next video, on tomorrow night's video, which is, I guess I'll say it. CanCon had a fantastic guest on last night. He had a man who is a Marine combat veteran and law enforcement officer. This man was arrested, FBI raided, his family's home flashbanged, and he was arrested because he put out a tweet. That's all. If you saw the episode on rumble.com, Cannabis Conservative CanCon, which is CANNCON, go ahead and listen to the man himself. But I promised, I gave my word, that they put the bond for $250,000 for that guy. A tweet, okay? I talked about red flags serving as a warning before. This is where a red flag law goes way too far. And this was a servant of the system that did everything right. He shares some very, very intense stuff in that live. Some things that I'm sure just cannot be repeated on YouTube. But I'm going to push the envelope. I'm going to continue to do my best. And this setup will be improved tomorrow. You have my word on that as well. Justice for just us, man, because we are the family here. Justice for just us because the system doesn't work for us. I'm starting to doubt that they really ever did. I mean, I know it did at some point. I'm disenfranchised. Okay, so you know the moniker. Find those things that unify us, which is identifying universal wrongs, so we can speak truth to power. And if a divider does pop up, let it be an invitation to conversation, not confrontation. We're not going to get anywhere just hating each other every day and factioning into tribalism. That's what the real powers that be want the most. That we just are so focused with our own infighting, we'll never pay attention to them. Well, you know what? At least here in this world, in this little slice of the internet, that's exactly what is going to happen every damn day and night. I don't care about me. I care about creating something greater than myself, and you're all a part of it. Good night, guys. It's midnight here, so I did go on a little bit longer, but this is still just the beginning phase, and I'm looking forward to everything I know is to come. And knowing what is ahead of us makes me just a little bit more optimistic about what could be instead of what is. Thank you to each and every one of you that have continued to support Progressive Patriot. Me, I'm not going to talk like a schmuck in third person. Thank you for being on this journey with me. Much love. Good night. We police our own here. I'm out.